Welcome back to BLOCKTV. It is time for Pump or Dump. This is the time of the week we're looking at the dominant news narratives of the past week, see if we agree or disagree with the agenda set forth, whether we pump it or dump it. And to do that today, we're joined by BLOCKTV's crack team of reporters. I've got Zaki Hennessy, got Oran Spitzer, Yona Hochhauser, and Whitney Deal. Thank you all for being with us. Everybody's got 2 rounds of topics. You got 2 minutes to state your case. After that time, you'll hear the buzzer, we'll discuss it, and decide whether we pump it or dump it. And we start today with Yona Hochhauser. What do you got for us today? Go.
All right, well, 2 weeks ago, actually on this show, we spoke about the Ethereum Foundation apparently or allegedly stopped funding for most internal teams. That was according to one of the developers who got cut off. And that was kind of the main narrative that people were running with. And then over the weekend, a simple man named Vitalik Buterin, I've heard
one individual associated.
He recently went on the Portal podcast, a podcast with Eric Weinstein, and he had this to say.
I did get the Ethereum Foundation to sell about 70,000 ETH, like basically at the top, and that's doubled our runway now. So, and it was one decision that had a lot of impact, but.
All right.
Yeah, so pretty much essentially what I want to take away from that is that the Ethereum Foundation actually had got, if they saw an all-time high, that was $100 million right there. He said it extended the runway. The question remains then, why are they stopping the funding for internal teams? Either one, did they mismanage that money and now it's gone? Or two, let me finish off.
Go.
Or two, they're not using the fund internal teams, in which case, what the hell are they doing with that money?
You lose.
All very good questions.
Absolutely.
What do we think? I mean, where did the $100 million go to that then can no longer fund some of their internal developers there?
It potentially may, listen, Vitalik seems like a great guy. But maybe he's padding the pockets.
Well, he did mention in the same interview that he padded his pockets of his own from his sale of his own coins, right? We're talking about 20,000 of his own Ether at an all-time high of 1,400. So that's a nice bit of cash right
like
there.
$40 million if he sold.
Do we know when this initial funding happened?
Well,
so it's $100 million. Where did it come from?
No, so they sold. No, that's just the Ethereum Foundation. They kept a set amount of Ethereum of ETH for themselves. And that's a big knock against them is that when they actually sold, ETH to the world, the big knock was that they kept a lot for themselves. Now, apparently, they said they were keeping it for themselves so that they could develop the Ethereum blockchain, which is all good and fine. I'm all for that. But hey, they have all that money, $100 million that we know that he just admitted that he sold, and that's ignoring all the other money they have. Right. How come they're cutting fundings for their internal teams? What else are they using that money for?
Or that money
I agree. We need to pump that story way more.
Definitely, and there's lots more in that interview to look at. I'm sure we'll be talking about it throughout the week. But next up, Oran, what do you got for us? Your minute starts now.
So for a little while, illicit activity was off of people's radars. It wasn't reported on as much, and now it seems like that wave is back, and that is what people are this weekend. Every report I read was like, this happened, this hack, this theft, this
crimes, frauds, scams.
All the regular things that we don't want to be known for as a space, but Tokyo wants to create a cashless society. This does a lot of good things for us. So Tokyo will trial an independent Tokyo YUA, that is confusing, loyalty coin point system along the Tokyo Railway to promote the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, so SDGs, right? So the UN said these are X goals that we need to hit by 2030 to be a better world because we suck. And Tokyo was like, so this trial is expected to run from January to February of next year. The government is also considering the issuance of a token, so that's completely independent. And the goal is to be cashless, and there are a lot of incentives for this. So if people take these railways during off-peak times. So basically trying to reduce emission and be more cashless, more aware, all for this UN thing. You did it, so now we can all do it.
Yeah. We're playing fast and loose with the times today. Round 2, none of that. We have on one hand we have an actual use case for blockchain, as we can see in the Tokyo Transportation Initiative. On the other hand, you want to dump all the sad cases of scams and frauds that we're hearing. It seems more of in the last few weeks. What do you guys think?
It's 2020. let's not do scams anymore. I'm done with scams. It's
Well, not even
2020.
doing
Time for
scams.
positivity, wholesome stories, Tokyo.
But that
doing
narrative
good
is
stuff.
so overdone already. It's a price thing, right? If we keep worrying about how much Bitcoin is at, and we keep worrying about how many people hack things and how many people steal this.
Just gotta hang out and wait, dude.
Well, also we're just not talking about anything else other than the price of this thing. Now, if that's the use case, fine. But we have a whole freaking industry built around it, so there has to be more to talk about than theft. These
Such
things
as-
happen all the time. Such as
Tokyo's
Tokyo's use.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I actually really like this story. I mean, this is another example of a government, using blockchain for something good. And the best thing is that yes, unfortunately, hacks will happen, and we do have to report on them because they do affect people's money.
But they happen everywhere.
I know, but I'm really happy that we are reporting and you are reporting on these good initiatives because it also means the people of Tokyo now who are using this and getting paid for doing good in blockchain, they have a positive association in their mind with blockchain. Good
It's
job.
basically a basic attention token for real life.
For doing good.
Like you take the train anyway, you can take it an hour later. Great, here's
Now
some
you're
cash.
also in engaging or interacting with cryptocurrency or tokens and blockchain, and
making
that
the world a
could
better
only be good
place.
for the sphere. All right, let's move on. Zaki, you're up next. December runs versus December dumps.
Yeah.
That's a colorful intro there. Let's go.
Okay. So we're talking about we're dumping the runs because my boy Asher Westrop Evans, who's not here today, he was out here spreading hope, talking about every year around Christmas time, a Bitcoin price goes up. It's called the December runs. Blah, 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 blah,
Santa
blah.
Claus run.
The
Yeah,
Santa
Santa Claus rally.
rally or the December runs. I'm like, yo, it's not happening. If you take a look at the most recent chart, looking at the Bitcoins, it's going down, and that's no good. So
depends for
we're
who.
dumping the narrative
Keep
of
going.
the runs, and we're saying we're gonna pump the dumps. What do I mean? Bitcoin's dumping, but maybe that's a good thing. I'll tell you why.
Yes.
It's down. This means that it's a good chance to buy crypto for your relatives who don't want you to buy them crypto. This means it's a good chance to focus less on Bitcoin and more on family and kindred spirits and good meals and that lovely tree that we all love so very much. Which one's that one? Hey.
Zaki wins this round.
All right, and you got it in time. Good for you. Any arguments there?
Yeah, my argument is that you're missing a key phrase there. And it's well known.
Christmas.
It's called buying the dip. There's
Yeah.
already a word for you. You say it's a good time to buy the dip.
Buy that dip.
Buy the dip.
Yeah.
You're
And you're also missing that Christmas is everybody's gonna buy the dip, and that's when everything's gonna go up again, and we're all gonna.
Hi.
You heard
be
it
really
here
mad.
first.
He's on
ladies
to
and gentlemen. You want to give us a time frame from that?
You could get in early, dude. This is your chance.
So December 24th,
You heard it first on
25th?
BLOCKTV.com.
Yeah,
Okay, fascinating.
but get back to us on that December 24th, 25th date.
We should call it, okay, how about this? Instead, we just call it Buy the Dump.
Sure,
There you go, because that's a little...
buy the dump.
Yona,
Fine.
I see
Hashtag
there's
Buy
a
the
twinkle
Dump.
in your eye. You're going to argue with me, and I don't want to
I don't. Why are you trying to make a new phrase for calling buy the dump? Why not go buy the dip like it always has been? Way
Because-
before you came here.
Because the phrase
Ooh,
dump is haha funny.
burn.
Move on, Ron.
All right, we got runs, we got dumps. Luckily, please, Whitney, save us. Your minute starts now. Go ahead.
The Danish Tax Authority has started to they've taken a leaf out of the IRS's book, and the UK, just like some of the other countries that are sending letters to crypto holders stating we know you have crypto, you must report your taxes. It's still it's an important thing in the sphere. However, everybody's doing it, and it's still too early to tell what's going to go on because they still need to file their taxes.
So we're dumping that story in favor of.
In favor of Fidelity Digital Assets intending to support Ethereum in 2020. I don't know what kind of implications that'll have for the issues that they might be having. But Fidelity President Tom Jessup said that his firm has done a lot of work on Ethereum when asked if they would offer custody for it after it launched its crypto custody and trading tools for institutional and investors and traders earlier this year. Thus far, they only support Bitcoin. But they're working on Ethereum because, and they said that they would continue to add new sources of liquidity to its platform. Yeah.
All right, your time's up, but interesting topics here. So Fidelity, huge name in investments. The fact that they've been working up until now with Bitcoin now, possibly, or at least working with or alongside Ethereum. A good thing, bad thing? What do you guys think?
I think it's an interesting thing, perhaps.
Okay.
Maybe not good or bad, but for a little while, Fidelity, their charitable arm at least, was kind of saying that they saw crypto donations lessen, and I believe that they had the same thing in that they were only accepting Bitcoin. So it's interesting that even though that happened, it sounds like they're still trying to make moves in the space to still integrate,
because
in some way, shape, or
only want to
form.
support currencies like virtual currencies or cryptocurrencies that have like a decent following. So that's why they have Bitcoin, and now they're working on Ethereum. So it's not like
No, of course. But I'm saying, as in the interesting part is that even that when they don't necessarily see that it's necessary for them, for lack of a better word, they're still developing, as in they see a need. Like they're like, okay, wait, it's not happening now, but if we don't get on this, then in 10 years we're going to be screwed, kind of a thing.
Right.
Which I think, especially coming out of Fidelity, is quite reassuring.
no, it's nice.
And it's going to be interesting to follow up, see if it stops with Ethereum or other assets along the way. All right, that was.
I mean, if I could give my 2 cents, I mean, I think that's a wonderful thing because it shows that Fidelity sees from its customers, they're getting feedback either verbally or through the numbers that these customers are asking for and it's needed. And that's another stamp of approval, and it shows health in the ecosystem.
Absolutely. Zaki, your 2 cents? Go ETH?
Yeah, go ETH. Thanks for the outline.
All right,
I was taking a note.
that was round 1. Where we jump right into round 2. And Yona Hochhauser, you're leading us out with.
Yeah, so I'm going to be dumping, and kind of like what Zaki said, he called it the December runs. I'm going to say, the price really not painting a rosy picture, seemingly bears all around attacking. It's like you go camping and you left all your food out. And what I want to pump is mining up.
Yes.
This is happening the exact opposite. Now, a lot of people, they focus on the price and the traders, but they don't realize in this triangle of power is also included miners. Right. And miners have been betting big. Miners are quite optimistic. For example, the Winklevi twins Crusoe mining operation announced they're investing $70 million in opening a 70 megawatt mining farm in America, as well as the Whitestone Group opening the largest in the world. It's going to have 1 gigawatt. That's 1,000 megawatts. It's in Texas. Also, Bitmain, also in Texas, is going to be opening up a 300 megawatt farm. Now, what this means is that these are major monetary investments by miners, which is a crucial part of the blockchain. They're optimistic. It makes me optimistic. Screw all your FUD. I like it. I'm buying.
Great point. And just in time.
I think it's really good to get all these miners involved because kids should be crypto native.
Explain the awful joke for everyone else.
Because mine, all right.
No, please explain it.
Exactly, have a seat. Listen, we talked about this a bit last week. Miners are actually taking a huge risk and gamble in opening these developments now, with the price being what it is.
I agree, and what it's showing, people don't make really big bets and even really risky bets unless they think that there's a chance or even a good chance that's going to pay off. This is big money. This is also, not only is it showing that they have faith that it'll work, but it also gives them incentives to make it work. Because what you have to understand is that miners actually help the blockchain run. So even if the other 2 factors, which is nodes and developers, even if they're less optimistic or they're not pulling their weight, the miners also do have some power in keeping up the price.
Yeah. Also, this is something that we're going to talk about in a year, I feel like, and we're going to say, oh no, this was bad, because what's going to ultimately happen is that mining pools are going to become super centralized, and it's going to be like the next big tech wave of like an industry.
Already very centralized.
And it's not getting better.
But I think a big thing to note here is that all 3 are in the U.S., and there's long been a complaint that there's been too much mining. Some figure 60-70% of total Bitcoin hash rate is in China. This is going to actually kind of decentralize, not individually, but kind of shift the geographical centralization of mining outside of China and hopefully all over the world.
Excellent. All excellent points there. But time to move on to Oran, your second pumper dump for today. Take it away.
Right. So, the big news last week was Dorsey saying that we're going to decentralize Twitter or something along those lines.
You're not a fan?
And not that I'm not a fan, but Jack Dorsey says things a lot, and it's great. He's in the privileged position of saying things / making promises and trying things.
And everybody reports on it?
Right. And everybody reports on it and talks about it. When you have a perfect system that works that way, good for you. We'll all be there still to report it and talk about it, and it'll be great. Now, the real big news is that there was the first Ethereum-based home sale. Literally, home was sold. So, US-based global real estate platform called Real IT, which is working with Ethereum and blockchains in general. The first are claiming that the first property ever to be tokenized on Ethereum has officially been sold. It sold the 9943, so 9,943 Marlowe Real token, which is the name of it, the equivalent of $60,000. This is an actual home that was put on the blockchain and then sold for $60,000 essentially. They claim that the sale marks a number of firsts for the Ethereum ecosystem. This being the first real estate property. This is great for DeFi and a bunch of other things. And I will say this later when I get to speak.
All right. Anybody have an issue with dumping Jack Dorsey and his decentralized Twitter in favor
I think that I hear what you're saying about Jack Dorsey speaking from the position of like, yo, I'm like the big CEO man and I can say whatever and they'll report on me.
Right.
But I do think that specifically the context of his most recent kind of thread is important because it's drawing attention to Africa.
Drawing
and
attention.
crypto in Africa.
Great point. Drawing attention.
Yeah.
If you wanted to make a difference, you have all the resources and means to simply make that difference, literally. But what he chose to do was create a Twitter thread. And then he mocks and looks down upon and condescends on the people who do these things. And he's like, no, I'm all altruistic and cool. But you know, look, I'm going to do a thing. You're in the place where you don't need to say, I'm going to do a thing. You can just do it and then be successful and great. And another point I was going to make
you have your extension.
is that everybody knocks on Ethereum all the time. But this is a platform that won't die because it cannot. It's unless somebody comes up with a different Ethereum and people start building on top of something else, Ethereum's not going anywhere.
I'm going to agree with you on your pump. I do like that home sale and Ethereum is a great smart contract blockchain to do things. I'm going to disagree with you, though, on your dump. Jack Dorsey is irrelevant what he has to say about social media platforms because he happens to run one of the world's biggest social media platforms. Secondly, he doesn't just say things and then not do them. In the past, he said these things and done them. He's made Square's Cash App the #1 place to onboard crypto and Bitcoin in America. He's also made this, put out this hiring for a team, and he plans on actually hiring this team, and he plans on putting the money in. And he actually, I wholeheartedly believe he plans on following through.
Then why not create a post saying, or
did.
just a job ad, or just like a LinkedIn job posting?
But that
for
works
like
better.
Person.
He has a Twitter, and we all are talking about it. It's the best job posting ever.
Of course, it's way easier to look through millions and millions and millions of random comments on Twitter and people just sending their resume than just having a freaking job position posted.
I think his job posting got major views. We all spoke about it. Everyone who is relevant knows about it.
Yes, you think that more than with all this action and attention that this got, you truly believe that more than 8% of people sending in responses are right for a position in what he's trying to do?
I think he reached the audience he wanted to reach. I think that he did it on the platform he wanted to do it on, and he's going to accomplish, or at least hiring, he's going to hire and put the team together.
Fiona, no offense, but if Jack Dorsey is looking for a blockchain knowledgeable content person, I promise you that we would hear about that job posting.
He did. He put it on Twitter. I don't understand.
I mean in any other way.
No, but he did it. It worked. Why not do it on the
We've seen when
platform?
Facebook is hiring, everybody follows them on LinkedIn, and
and then you see the job listing.
I think Yona makes a fantastic point, though. I think the fact that we're all talking about decentralized social media.
It exists.
Done by Twitter, by the people at Twitter, and led by Jack Dorsey.
He can literally go buy Steam it. I'm sure that he could give a great offer and then work on top of what they're doing. There's like a million ways to go about this that are better than the way he chose to go about it. If he really wants to make a difference. Said my piece.
All right, no, absolutely. This is what we're here for, the argumentation. And we'll move on now, though, to Zaki. No argument here. You've got one story. You're pumping it.
Yeah, I was talking about. My minute starts now.
Go.
I was talking about it all last week. These BitClub folks, man, what a bunch of scammers, huh? They made a big old Ponzi scheme for $722 million pulled from investors. They're a bunch of meanie heads, a bunch of jerks, to say the least.
Meanie heads.
4 out of 5 of the ones who were being sought after by the Department of Justice have been detained. The 5th one remains undetained and unnamed by the DOJ. Who remains? My money is on Russ Medlin. Let's take a look. Following the breaking news that BitClub Network has spent the last 5 years swindling investors for over $722 million, 4 out of 5 core team members have been detained and charged with up to 25 years in prison. However, there is one remaining member who has yet to be brought into custody, and the Department of Justice is abstaining from naming this defendant. Among those indicted, there is a startling omission, that being the company's CEO, Russ Medlin, who by all means seems to be the most likely suspect.
All we've done, the way we built this company, was one day at a time and just try to do the next right thing.
Medlin has been the CEO of BitClub since its inception in 2014, leading the company as it fooled investors by promising them incredible gains in exchange for their funds.
You see this? This is a little tiny percent of a huge, huge machine we got, mining millions and millions of dollars of Bitcoin a month.
While 4 core members of the BitClub team have been detained, 2 questions remain. Where are the millions? And what happened to BitClub's disappearing CEO?
All right, yeah. Let's hear the argument throughout, though. Let's. We meet this guy, Russ Medlin. He's the CEO of BitClub. Every sentence that he puts out of his mouth, according to what we're seeing on YouTube and other on his tweets and on their website, seems scammy, seems sales oriented. Why isn't the DOJ naming this guy?
I think they're scared, man. I think he's got $722 million. He could hire a fancy a killer with that kind of funds, you know.
But it doesn't. It really doesn't make sense. As you mentioned in your VTR, he was CEO from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, oh, maybe there's some guy behind the scene. Like, no, he was the face and the head
It just
since
goes
day
to
one.
show you, if it turns out that it's not Russ, first of all, I'll eat my hat, which I can say because I don't wear a hat.
Well,
Secondly,
you have a nice
I'll eat this
Christmas
Christmas tree on BLOCKTV if it is not Russ Medlin. Second of all, there are potentially other candidates for who it could be, such as their director of marketing, Douglas J. Beck, who allegedly that's a fake name. It's the name of somebody else that they just used, and also their contact information. But like, even there are other people associated with the company.
Okay, so maybe the DOJ they're not confident enough to say. How come no other news agency besides Amazing Block TV has even made a peep about Russ? No one's taken the second to do the work.
Here's the thing, Russ has clearly gotten to them. And Russ, if you want to get to me and give me a little bit of that hush money, I'll take it. But then I'll backstab him. Then I'll say it was Russ.
All right, we're gonna have a after party follow up pump or dump on journalism ethics. Whitney, take us home. What are you pumping? What are you dumping?
I'm going to take a line from the movie The Other Guys with Marky Mark. Zaki, do you know who Marky Mark is?
Yeah, of course, DJ Marky Mark.
Okay, I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly. Unfortunately, today is my last day with Block, and I just wanted to thank everyone for an amazing experience working here. It's been wonderful, but I'm dumping it because I'm really sad to leave. This is actually a place that I'm really sad to leave. I love this job, but I gotta make the remote life work for me, so, gonna be
There we are.
Was that our first pumper dump ever?
I think so.
He's not
Look
even
at the
here.
hair. Wow, beautiful, golden.
So,
Zaki with his bigger. Well, Whitney, I'll be the first to say that we will miss you very, very much, but I'll get you for a wine and wine, so it's okay.
perfect. But instead, we're going to pump some news that might be a little bit sad for the founders of BottlePay. They're going to cease operations by the 31st of this month. While they garnered $2 million in seed money and funding, and they had a bunch of followers, and had a bunch of people that signed up, they can't keep up with the AMLs for the EU. So like I said, they're going to cease, operations. They worked. I find that weird, but anyway. So they launched in June as a tipping service that allowed users to send small amounts of crypto on social media networks and messengers through its browser extension. I just find it weird that they had $2 million worth of funding, but they don't want to keep up with AML, so now they're dropping everything. What do you guys think?
I think that we should be not dumping the fact that Whitney is leaving and just get past the rest of that story.
Look, I think the bottle pay closing down. This is a reality that we're going to be seeing across the sphere. FATF guidelines coming into effect January. A lot of companies are going to have trouble with that, definitely in the United States and across Europe. But we can have that discussion another day. This is a great opportunity to say thank you and goodbye to Whitney. Been a fantastic contribution to these and a ton of other segments. We're going to miss you lots. You win today's Pump and Dump. By virtue.
It's a consolation prize.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Pump or Dump for this week. For more blockchain and cryptocurrency news, don't forget to check us out on BLOCKTV and all our social media streams. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back.